Hello, my name is Annette DeLu, and you are listening to The Heart of You. Welcome back. Today's episode, we are going to talk about portals. Now, I'm sure you've heard this word in the context of portals to other universes, portals to somewhere else. It's a place where you are able to access one place from another. In this particular episode, we're going to be discussing negative portals and why it's important to close these up in your home. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about what the difference is between, let's say, a neutral portal or a positive portal and a negative portal. So we're going to start with the negative portals because I feel like this is one of the more important subjects to tackle. I was not really even aware of what portals were or what they did and what happened with them until I started having some experiences with them. I had a reading a while ago, and the woman who was doing the reading for me was saying, "Oh, you've got some portals in your apartment and we're just going to close those up." And I was like, "Okay, I have no idea what that means, but okay, cool." So I basically asked her, and she just said that they were spots where, different energies can come in. And I'm like, "Okay, no big deal." So the portals that I had in my apartment were like by my front door, and there were a couple of other ones. But I didn't feel the effects of these portals while I was in my space. So I don't think that they were anything super negative. They were just hanging out there, creating dissonant energy, because obviously when you have a dimension that is coming through a portal that is sort of messing with our dimension, the energy is going to be a little bit wonky, right? So that was the first time I had really even heard about portals. So fast forward to me doing readings and sessions for my clients, and slowly but surely I started learning a little bit more about portals, what they are, what they do, how they can affect us. And I had a friend who called me and was in a panic. She had somebody over to stay for the weekend, a friend of hers who was traveling in from out of town, and they both woke up in the middle of the night, just absolutely terrified, just super, super terrified. And they couldn't understand what was going on. They both had very, very similar dreams. They had dreams about something that was in the apartment. They had compared the things that they saw, and it was incredibly disorienting, and they were, quite frankly, very scared. And this is why my friend had called me to ask me like what could be going on. And so I tapped in and I connected in, and my guides were basically telling me that these were portals in her apartment. And what was happening is that normally she didn't notice them because nothing was really happening with them, but somehow the portals sort of got activated to a particular dimension, and some lower or negative energies were starting to try to come through. Now, they can't fully come through the portal. Like, they can't come into our dimension through the portal, but it's like having a wall that is transparent and maybe a little pliable. So in other words, like, you can sort of see what's going on the other side, and you can feel it, but like the whatever entity or whatever thing was on the other side couldn't actually come through, but they can push their energy through that is sort of having an effect on you in your personal space. So basically we closed up those portals for her because it was her space and her home. We were able to easily do that. And then after that, the dreams and the fear and everything just sort of fell away, which was great. So this was the first experience I had personally with portals. So fast forward to just last Christmas, my friend Tina and I decided to travel to Strasbourg for the Christmas markets. And we had booked a hotel for 2 nights, and we were going to stay and do a little bit of traveling and see all the Christmas markets. So we booked this hotel in this really sort of old house. It was a very, very old house, but it was like a really small hotel, like a boutique type hotel. And we were staying on the very top floor. It was sort of near the roof. And, we had a great day. We came back, went to sleep. And I had the most insane dreams. So not only did I dream about the room that we were staying in, so I was having a dream about that. And as I was dreaming about figures and people coming into the space through a particular spot in the room. And so I was just like, oh my God, that's really weird. Why are these things and people coming in through that space in the wall? And this was all during my dream. And at some point, I had somebody who I hadn't seen in a really, really long time, a friend of mine from college, who I hadn't thought about in a long time, had actually entered into the dream. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Like, I'm wondering why she's all of a sudden showing up. And the dream was pretty disturbing. It wasn't anything that was just like, that average strange dream thing. It was unsettling. So it woke me up actually a couple times throughout the night. And I remember in my dream thinking to myself, oh, I must ask Tina about this when we get up in the morning, because I'm curious if she's had this same dream. So I woke up the next morning and I asked Tina, I was like, how did you sleep last night? And she said, I slept like crap, actually. And I was like, that's really interesting. I said, did you have some dreams? And she's like, yeah, I had some really, really awful dreams. And the energy was so bad that I literally had to wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom to like sort of shake off the energy. She's like, it was really, really bad. And so we kind of started comparing notes, and I was like, aha, okay, that makes sense now that this is something that is within this room. So I connected in and I asked my guides if I was able to close these portals. And they said I couldn't. They said, absolutely not, because this is not your home. It is actually a public space. So you don't have the ability to affect that change. And I was like, really? Like, I thought that was really odd. Like, I felt like, I should be able to close this portal for, I guess, for the collective people that might be staying in this room again to prevent any of this from happening. But they did tell me that I wasn't going to be able to. So there might be people out there who can do that, but that was clearly not part of my abilities. So I was not able to do that. The feeling was that whatever was trying to come through this portal, whatever was trying to communicate through this portal through our dream state, was almost like literally taking energy from me. Yeah, it freaked me out. I was just like, you know what? I don't really want to deal with that. So believe it or not, and this is something that I don't think I've ever done in my whole life, I actually decided that I wasn't going to stay there that night. I was like, I can't do this. Like, this is not a place that I want to stay for a second night. Tina was actually going back to Paris that night anyway, because she had to work the next morning. I had decided to stay one extra day because I was like, oh, I'll stay till the Monday and enjoy the rest of the time. So I ended up changing the schedule. I ended up booking a train, the same train that Tina had, and coming back to Paris early because of this. So it's no joke. It was some pretty scary stuff for me. What exactly was that? Let's sort of unpack that first. Like, what was the portal? What was it trying to do? Like, what was the effect that it was having on me? First of all, it is not something that is detrimental to your health or to your well-being. It is something that is simply coming through in a thin place on the planet. So in other words, it is similar to these vortices that are all over the planet, where you have this beautiful exchange of energy between dimensions and between places where you have high concentrations of divine source energy. It is similar with portals, except for the fact that they are not necessarily in places where they are high vibrational. They may be in places that are a little bit less in terms of vibration or in terms of energy to where you happen to be. And this is what it means when a portal is either negative, positive, or neutral. It just depends on what energy is on the other side of the portal in relation to your energy or in relation to the energy that is in the space. The problem with having to close these portals is that it does take a great deal of energy to do so. And it depends on how long the portal has been there. If the portal has been there for centuries and centuries, which was the case for the hotel, the boutique hotel that I was staying in, it is something that takes more than one person, the energy of more than one person to be able to close. This is why I was not able to close it on my own. It is something that can be done remotely. So if you gather with more than one person and you would like to try to close certain portals, you can do that. Do you need to know the exact location of them? Not necessarily. But what you can do is you can simply set the intention to close all portals that are negative or neutral or even positive, because it doesn't really matter which energy is coming through. They are simply energies that are wreaking havoc on the energy surrounding you. If you think about it from this perspective, if you have a portal and the energy that is coming through it is very positive, and let's say you are in a lower vibration, technically, to the other dimension or to the other beings in the other dimension, you're the negative energy. So it's all relative to where you are in the energetic spectrum. It just so happened to be in that hotel room where I was residing at that time that the energy that was coming through was of a lower vibration to my energy field. Now, the perception that whatever was on the other side, whatever energy was on the other side, was trying to feed off my energy was true from one perspective as well, because when we here on Earth, people do this all the time. When you have somebody who has a higher vibration and you have somebody who is in a lower vibration, the person in the lower vibration is almost naturally going to try to bask in that higher energy field. And they might try to take some of that energy. They might try to siphon some of that energy. And they're not doing it on purpose. They're just doing it because that's sort of part of what happens when you get around energy that is just really, really yummy and you want more of it, right? It's almost like a drug. It was similar to what happened when I was staying at the hotel. So it wasn't that the entity or the energy on the other side meant me harm. It was simply that it was sort of connecting into the energy, the collective energy of Tina and I, because she has a pretty high vibrational energy as well. And it basically saw an opportunity of like, ooh, I can like connect into that beautiful, beautiful energy. So then you might ask the question, if I'm at a portal and I'm getting positive energy from it, is that taking energy from somebody else? Is that actually siphoning energy from somebody else in another dimension? Well, kind of, yeah. It's not that you're necessarily doing it on purpose, though, and it's not something that's really horrible. It just simply means that you are almost like basking in somebody else's sun, okay? So this is why it's important to close portals, whether they're positive, negative, or neutral. So how do you close portals? Well, it's actually quite simple. You simply set the intention to close them. If you are in your own space, all you really have to do is go into a really brief meditation, set the intention. I close any and all portals in my living space, in my home, any and all portals that have been created, any and all thin spaces that have been created over the course of the last several hundred or thousand years, depending on how old your domicile is, and simply set the intention that those portals will close. Now, if you can tap into your intuition as you are in this meditation, you can simply look at your house through the eyes of your intuition, and your intuition will tell you exactly where the portals are, and you'll get a feeling for if it is a positive, negative, or neutral. Okay? So I want you to try this exercise. So go into a meditation, just kind of put your feeling out into the various places around your house and feel into what is around you and what areas or corners of the house feel okay. Do they feel sort of happy and bright? Do they feel like they belong? Is there an energy that feels like it doesn't belong? Like, what are you feeling exactly? So you can connect in and really see where there might be portals, where there might be energies that don't belong. And you set the intention to close those portals. You can also ask any of the ascended masters. You can ask your guardian angels. You can ask the archangels. You can ask anyone to help you with this work. I typically ask Archangel Michael, but that's just my go-to. You can use whoever you want. I will ask Archangel Michael to help me close any and all portals within my space. I will ask him to seal any portals up with golden light, and then that is it. So it is simply about setting that intention. So there's no reason to be afraid of them. There's no reason to feel like something is trying to get you. It is simply a practice of being able to connect in and understand where there are places within your space that need to be cleared or that need to be closed. I do also want to be clear, and my guides were just sort of tapping me on the shoulder about this. Portals and vortices are completely different things. And the reason why they want me to show you this is because they want you to understand that if you go to a vortex such as Sedona or Uluru or any of the places on Earth where you have these beautiful vortices that have that gorgeous divine energy, you are not taking energy from somebody else in another dimension. That's not the case. The difference between a portal and a vortex is that vortices are, in fact, thin places on the earth that actually allow that beautiful divine Gaia energy to come up through the earth. And it basically, if you can imagine that purity, that gorgeous, beautiful, pure Gaia love coming up through the earth and being able to have a channel to go through, and it's easier to access. Let's put it that way. So those are the places on earth that it's easier to access that beautiful divine light from earth, right? When you visit a vortex, it's not a portal, okay? It is completely different. It is something that is pure divine love coming from the center of the earth. And that's what it's been shown to me as. Now, this is the message that they're giving me right now. There is more to it in terms of vortices, and maybe I will do another podcast episode on that specifically. And they're saying to me that, yes, I will be doing another episode about that specifically, because I do want to talk about sacred places as well as vortices. So we'll cover that topic another time. In terms of portals, if you have any questions about portals, if you've had any experiences with portals, please write it down in the comments or send me an email and let me know what your experience is. I'd love to hear about it. Have an amazing day and never stop exploring your soul, because it is the most important relationship you will ever have. If you are interested in learning more about me and the sessions that I do, feel free to go to my website at infinitesoullove.com. On all social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Infinite Soul Love 1111. Hey, and if you feel called, I would love it if you could rate the heart of you on whatever streaming service you're using, whether it's Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Please take a moment, give it a review. It really does help the channel. Thanks so much.